For people familiar, not familiar, rather, with the statistics here, extreme poverty, people living on $1.90 a day. How bad are you expecting this to get?
Hi, John, and hi, Michael. Well, it's already gotten bad. That's showing up in the numbers and likely to get worse as we go into 2021. And one notable part of this global recession is the inequality of it. That in 2008, there was a great financial panic. It hit people's stock markets and their bond portfolios and so on, but it didn't have as much effect on the developing world. This one is much deeper in the developing world and likely to deepen if there are further shutdowns in the advanced economies. One of the things our numbers show is that the advanced economy, the recession, has actually been somewhat less severe than the estimates in June, but for the developing world, the recession has been worse than what was expected in June. If you excluding China, China's in a bit of a recovery phase, but the other developing countries still in a worsening recession.
David, given what you're seeing play out right now, and there used to be a stigma attached to asking this question, but I'm not sure there is anymore, whether the cure for this virus at the moment and the approach from developed economies is worse than the disease, given what you're seeing play out in poorer countries?
It's hard for us to judge. History will look back and try to assess. But for the poorest in the world, COVID is a problem, but a bigger problem for people is no jobs and increasingly this problem of food shortages, scarcity as their incomes go down. One of the things that hit the developing world so hard is the remittances got cut off from their workers that were working outside their country. That might be across a border, or it might be in one of the advanced economies. They would be sending money back every month to their families, and that got cut off rather suddenly. Another thing is just the activity. The activity level of the world for many countries is down 10% from what it was a year ago, and that means health problems for children. They're out of school. They're not getting their vaccinations. And in many cases, malnutrition is on the steep rise.
Mr. President, we've talked about the problem. There is a huge one. Let's talk about how you're looking to remedy it, or at least offset some of the issues in the developing world. The debt service suspension initiative is something that you've pushed forward. I believe it expires year-end. You want it extended. Can you walk me through how far out you'd look to extend that initiative?
Yeah, we'd like to see it extended another year, but I should note on it, it's only providing shallow relief, and we need to do much more. The reason it's shallow, what this has done is said that the poorest countries should not, in this crisis, given the severity of the crisis, starting last May 1st, they were able to stop paying their debt service. That means principal and interest to official bilateral creditors, really the richer countries plus China, and they could stop those payments, and the commercial creditors were supposed to join that initiative as well. That means banks and hedge funds, for example. Unfortunately, they didn't, and even the bilateral official creditors didn't fully participate. So the savings for these countries, we're talking about the poorest countries in the world, they're still paying their debts in some cases, and so that I think should be broadened and then also extended in through 2021. And the reason for that is it gives time for the world to figure out a way to actually reduce the stock of debt, the amount of debt. What's happening right now is people just add delay the payments and add interest on at the end of it. That's what the richer creditors are doing, and that's not going to provide light at the end of the tunnel for the poorest people.
President Malpass, when you said there that bilateral official creditors didn't participate in the way that you hoped, do you mean China? And is that still the case?
China's biggest creditors, the ones that are owed billions and billions of dollars from the poorest countries, are continuing to take those payments and not giving relief. And that's still the case. And the arguments last week were intense within the G20, which China is a major participant in the G20 and has not wanted to proceed or deepen this debt moratorium. And so we'll have to see how that plays out over the next few days, because the big meetings are coming up this week. My hope really is that China would recognize that it's very much in its interest and in the interest of the poorest countries to reduce the burden and then find ways to grow faster in the future. We all have a common stake in the world, and so it's important to really adjust the thinking about where these debt burdens stand. It's not the people in the poorest countries simply don't have the resources to keep paying these high interest rates on this kind of debt.